though the crisis in Japan may be benefiting Canadian exporters, it's making things more dangerous for those eating foods imported from Japan. Radiation has been detected in spinach and milk coming from Japan. Amy MacKenzie tells us why this is dangerous for Canadians.
Amy, how likely is it that food with radiation will make it into our stores?
Not likely at all, Viola. Canada has not imported any food from Japan since the earthquake. Canada already has very strict rules for accepting imported food. In regards to Japan, it has tightened those restrictions considerably.
What are the restrictions that Canada has placed on the imports exactly?
Well, this process has yet to allow any food into Canada. But first, Japanese officials in Japan scan the food for radiation. After that, Canadian officials in Japan take a look at the food, and then, if it gets into Canada, it's inspected there as well.
What about food grown here? Is there any risk of radiation from Japan affecting our national production?
Scientists at Simon Fraser University have been testing the rainwater and seaweed in BC. They found small amounts of radiation that they are certain came from Japan. However, both the scientists and Health Canada are saying that the amount is small enough that it doesn't pose a health risk for Canadians. As well, the type of radiation found is the less harmful of the two that was released by the Fukushima nuclear power plant. This type has a half-life of 8 days. That means that after 16 days, anything affected by it will no longer be affected. The one to be concerned about has a half-life of 30 years, but this type has not been detected in Canada.
What if the worst-case scenario happens and the nuclear power plant has a total meltdown?
The Canadian scientists say that even in that worst-case scenario, the radioactive particles would dilute enough on its trip across the ocean that it wouldn't pose any serious health risks to Canadians.
Thank you, Amy. The Canadian Food and Health Inspection Agency is constantly monitoring the situation. You can follow them under the website below.